What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. Apparently, there was talk in the community a while ago about Batman Arkham Knight getting some updates. Apparently, it's come full circle as to the nature of these updates, but I wanted to take the opportunity to highlight this game and talk a little bit about a superhero game that is very pivotal in the superhero games community. Before I jump in any further, shout out to one of our audience members, big time supporter of the channel, Suspicious Tension, who's actually been on these updates, and he's been informing me about the updates, but I've just kind of waited. I usually like to wait, gather all of my data to see exactly what's going on, and he went ahead and reported and said, well, my friends, it's a sad but cool day. Arkham Knight update was Japanese audio, subtitle, and support added for the game. Still a big W for a game that's 8 years old and loves its players. So respect to Rocksteady based on this particular, tweet of his. And I thought it was actually pretty cool. And one really big thing that you have to pay very close attention to and understand is Batman Arkham Knight is a pivotal game. The Arkham series are pivotal series where many games have been judged in light of this particular set of video games. Rocksteady came out with something that was really cool. The creators, I think, we always attribute a lot to studios, but I think at this stage, especially seeing how things are going with that particular studio, we have to now maybe fine tune, our kudoses to the creators of the Arkham series and the developers that worked with them. Not saying we're going to take away anything from the studio, but it was these folk who actually did not necessarily care for, what the stigma would be or necessarily care to hold back on creativity that really did change the landscape. And it is based on their foundational work that a lot of superhero games have already gone on to be successful. We have the Spider-Man series that have actually been able to do it. I think even with the Wonder Woman game coming out, there's no doubt that we're probably not going to be seeing something that is representative of some of the, crumbs of what the Arkham games have already established in terms of superhero games. It is, however, interesting to see that the Suicide Squad game takes a huge deviation. But I think out of just, respect for Rocksteady, that's probably when I'm going to be playing this game. I'm thinking in my mind, maybe they'll go ahead and make it, say free to play or whatnot. But I don't think that's the case. And many of you by now, you may have watched my video where I talked about possibly changing the mechanics and possibly changing the systems. I don't know how that's actually going to be a possibility, but hey, it is what it is. We can only but try, whenever it is that we're trying to evaluate what in the world is going on. But Arkham Knight, a game that was graphically, solid, a game that was mechanically solid, having built upon many, iterations of the Arkham games, was something that I think a lot of people really did enjoy overall. I'm looking forward to one thing, though, from Rocksteady, and I'm hoping that this is a possibility, that they go ahead and take the approach of maybe touching up this game, making a remaster, or maybe even a remake of the game where they just bring the game to a new, perspective to the audiences, because there's nothing essentially wrong with that. The license remains with Warner Brothers. Rocksteady is still working and developing video games, but with a lot of different studios making remakes of remakes of remakes of remakes. I'm talking to you, The Last of Us Part 1. I mean, it's insane, guys. Why can't the Arkham games get something like that? Why, can they not commission, say, Warner Brothers Montreal and say, you know what? Why don't y'all whip out the old tapes? Get that old code from, the game, fire up Unreal Engine 4 and see if you can iterate this game in Unreal Engine 4, or maybe just take a different approach to using Unreal Engine 3 to go ahead and see if you can do this game, some justice. It's possible to do it. Warner Brothers Montreal has a lot of really good developers. I know the gaming community sometimes act like their heads are upside down, and sometimes they can't really see past, their expectations that they think they know about game development. But what I see in Gotham Knights is a lot of crumbs of excellence in terms of approaching combat, in terms of approaching game mechanics, when you have to actually execute on a video game that has very specific parameters. If you were tasked with making an RPG superhero game, how would you make that RPG superhero game? No one in the gaming community has ever answered that question specifically the way Gotham Knights did it, with the Bat family, with the heroes, and using 4 characters to get the job done. So until we can see any, one try to take on something like that, I refuse to concede that, Gotham Knights and its developers did not do a good job. I think the gaming community overall just did them in because they went ahead and took, their games and gave them to people who just had bad faith, approach in terms of covering the game. I've heard a lot of lies, from people who you would have thought, were, solid reviewers over the course of time. And I was just quite shocked. But it is what it is. Rocksteady, in my opinion, still holds a place in delivering these games. So I think we're probably going to have to just leave that at that. But shout out to you, Suspicious Tension, for following this particular line of, inquiry and just figuring out what's going on. I really appreciate the work that you put in. And those of you in the community, stay tuned. We have Monolith working on their game. I suspect that we may see a glimpse of the game by year's end. You never know. And then possibly we'll be looking at a 2024 release or maybe even a 2025 release. No problem. They need to take their time and work on the game. So let me hear your thoughts in the comment section about the Rocksteady, approach so far with their updates. What do you think? Do you think they should go ahead and possibly make a remake of any of the Arkham games? I think they should. They should pick any one of them. We're here for it all. Asylum, City, Origins, or Night. We'll take a remake of whichever one they drop. It'll be an exciting proposition if they were to do it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you guys so much. Peace out.